What up and welcome everyone. I am Danny. I'm here with Ari and Ellis, Damien, Will, Mordecai, and Kyra. We are the Derelict Collective, and this is the Derelict Podcast, episode 2. All right, y'all can speak though. Like y'all can say hello.
Hello.
Going on,
Right.
Deadass. Like I haven't been talking to y'all niggas all week.
We allowed to come out the basement?
Yeah.
Hi, everybody.
Yes, wonderful.
Thank
What's happening?
Happening. What's up? All right, so first things first, we're gonna talk about Tory Lanez. We're gonna go to Kyra because I know she has a lot to say about this. I kind of do too. But basically, it was reported that Tory Lanez, his streams have dropped by 40%. And, you know, some people are excited about that and think it's great. But then some people are saying that it's just a fluke and that people will come back once he drops something hot. So, Kyra, what do you think? You think they're going to come back, or you think this is going to be a trend and he's off, he's canceled?
You know, honest to God, I pray that he is 100% canceled. If I've never wanted anyone else to be canceled, for real, I think this nigga for sure needs to be canceled. Because I feel like what he did was to the absolute max. Because at no point, for real, not, you know, y'all know me, I'm a gun owner. There are very few reasons why someone needs to be shot. And I don't think that this was one of the reasons that you should have shot someone. We are in a variety of different groups across social media where there are ashy niggas across the world who believe, in fact, that this nigga should be, like, his slate should be wiped clean and that he did no wrong and that Megan deserved it for a number of reasons. One, people questioning her gender, and then two, saying that because she's taller than him, then she overtook him or whatever. We don't really know the story behind it. All we know is that this nigga did, in fact, shoot this woman and got deported. So people are questioning the realness of her being shot. Yeah, the validity of her being shot, based on the fact that they can't find police reports or that he hasn't been charged. As if being deported isn't part of the being charged process for a lot of different people, especially if you're foreign.
I think it's trash too that they're like really like they need to see charges, because how can we in one hand be like, the system is fucked up and you know what I'm saying, we second guessing anything, and now it's like we need to see these charges to actually believe that these things happen. Like, you got to get charged for it to be true.
And then not just that, it's just it validates the fact that there are a lot of Black women across the world who feel that they are not protected by Black men. Absolutely. And then reading the comments from these Black men who claim, or, you know, who be sneaking our DMs and calling us queens and all types of shit, are the same niggas that will condone this type of behavior. And one of the biggest things I wanted to point out was one of the guys I interacted with on one of these hip hop groups on Facebook, where he pretty much said that, you know, I'm cool with a nigga smacking a bitch a couple of times, but like, you know, if he shoot her more than once, that's when I draw the line. So I'm like, so he can shoot her one time, but he good.
Right.
But if he shoot her twice, then he's not good.
2 times.
Forgetting the fact that she got shot twice in both in her feet. Like, what the fuck?
So can I say to that, can we acknowledge in some cases that, like, extreme stupidity? Like that's a case of extreme stupidity. Like that's most of us are out here like, bro, there's no reason for you to shoot that woman. Right. Anybody that would say I'm cool with her getting smacked around, anything they say after that is extreme stupidity.
But it got worse though.
Well, and it's going to, like, it's the internet where people say the dumbest things they can possibly say. You know, just think about how many people are out there defending Trump every day.
Absolutely.
Like, you know, so it's like the most of us think, you know, we happy Tory's getting canceled. Like, he should be canceled. Well, there's absolutely no reason in any scenario he should have shot her. Period.
I think what shocked Kyra and I was just like how different it was from our group to theirs, when it was the complete opposite. Like, so many people were like, okay, it wasn't like it was one random stupid person. It was mad people on here and liking and screenshotting and like bigging the other niggas up. Like, yes, like, and so it kind of, I mean, it was like, damn, like, y'all are comfortable. Y'all are comfortable being this ashy out in the open, and then so many of y'all are right here being ashy with y'all.
Well,
I mean,
and not even just being ashy. It was dudes that were just like outright showing their colors of their level of abuse. Because when I asked the question, so if this was, I said, if this was your mother, your sister, your niece, your daughter, any woman in your family, like, would you still support this nigga? And the dude said no, because he be dead. So I said, so if you kill somebody who harmed someone close to you, like your sibling, your bloodline, how come you can't like extend that same level of like respect or concern or whatever toward another Black woman? Because in a sense, you know, I'm not a biblical person, but for those who are, if you believe that we're all connected in some form of way, like end of the day, like that's still your sister. She might not have come from your mother, but that's still your sister. And you're telling me that you're only going to protect the people that you know that are close in proximity, but you don't give a fuck about nobody else outside of this.
Right, just off the strength.
Unfortunately, that's kind of where we are today. Like, the community aspect of a lot of our shit is gone. Like, we all come from a time where we played outside with other kids and our neighbors were like family and, you know, whatever. That's not the world anymore. People look out for themselves. That's where we've ended up, you know. And it's like, again, it was the most bizarre thing I had ever heard, that he would shoot her. Like, and then it was just like, that might be the dumbest move I've ever seen anybody make. There's no way you can come back from it. Like, Chris Brown got lucky that he had a career after what he did.
Right.
There's no way you can touch Tory Lanez. Like, right. It's like, and I'm not one to cancel people. Like, if I listen to you before, I usually listen to you, but I didn't really listen to him like that. And I'm not gonna lie, he come across the radio now, you kind of hear his voice and you're like, why the fuck did you shoot that girl? Like, right. it's like, so now it's like, I don't even want to listen to this nigga, because it's like, yeah, I'm glad his streams fell. I'm glad people are really responding, and I'm glad artists are pulling him from their records, because it's like, bro, what the fuck? Like, you lucky you not dead. Streaming is the worst.
A lot of people are.
That's the last thing that could happen to you. No, go ahead.
And a lot of people are like saying, I don't want to take money from a Black man's mouth and blah, blah, blah. And I'm just like, anyone who's in the entertainment business know how fucked up the entertainment business is as a whole. So you should already be planning your money accordingly for any fucking thing, especially since cancel culture has gotten so much bigger with social media than it was back in the day. So like back in the day, you can beat the shit out of somebody, and as long as that shit ain't hit the radio or the newspaper, like you were straight. But everything is digital now, so you got to protect yourself at all costs. So if he fucking end up broke after this, that's on him, because he ain't managed his money right. But,
I mean, but he should end up broke.
He should.
That's the thing. He crossed such a line where it's like, I don't want to see redemption for that dude.
Right.
Like, just go away. Like,
I do have one last thing to say, though.
Go do your jail time and go away.
Absolutely. I do believe he should go to jail. But one of the other topics in the group that was surrounding Tory Lanez was people pitting Black men against Black women and using scenarios involving Black women abusing Black men, and using that as a way to condone what Tory did to Meg and what other men consistently do to Black women. And my whole thing was, regardless of what this person did, even if you remove gender out of it, like, your moral compass should tell you that shit is wrong, regardless if it was man versus woman, woman versus man, woman versus woman, whatever. Like, if you see somebody doing something wrong, whether like it's a woman versus whoever, like, you should look at it and be like, yo, that shit is wrong. So even if Meg shot Tory, like, I cancel the fuck out of Meg. Like, bitch, you shouldn't have shot her.
Although there could be more of we could get into a scenario in which I could say, okay, maybe she had to shoot him. You see what I'm saying? Like,
true. But in the same scenario, we're saying it as if it's the same scenario across the board. Okay. If they were arguing in the car and she shot him in the foot, like, that shit would be dead ass wrong.
Right.
Yeah, no, true. Like, and it's for me, it's this is gonna sound crazy, but like, he was calculated with his violence. Not just I'm gonna shoot you, but I'm gonna shoot you in the foot.
Because that's her moneymaker. Like, she
Like,
can't squat and use her Megan knees without her fucking feet.
Yeah, right. Real shit. Like, and that's
It's not funny, but I'm sitting.
no, right. No, but like she's right.
Right.
She's right. And the thing is, I don't really need to hear the story. If he shot her, if that's what comes of it. She said he shot her. So it's like at this point,
It
it ain't really a story to be had.
He should be canceled for tactically shooting Megan Thee Stallion in the foot. What?
I read it and I was just like, he did what? Like,
well, so we agree that he's canceled. We don't feel no pity for him. I don't think anyone's going to come back to him because I feel like a lot of his fan base was women. So I feel like it's like, oh, he could drop. First of all, whoever's going to work with him. So wherever this hot song is coming from, somebody who's bold enough to work with him, I mean, we're not going to check for it. Like, he can't unshoot her. At the end of the day,
they're tainted.
He cannot unshoot her. It's a wrap for him. He's dead. All right.
Ain't enough chicks tapes in the world, is there, Ellis?
Yo, it's not. All right. We've canceled him. We wish we could erase him from the timeline. And speaking of timelines and such, we did the decade game last week where Ari made us all pick a decade and very painfully erase childhood memories and wholesome things that made us happy. But he's an evil, evil person. So we got to talking, and then we thought about Heavy D and what would happen if Heavy D was erased from the timeline. So, Ari, this is your baby, Dr. Frankenstein. So
I love this shit. So a couple of the people in our group, the Derelict Collective on Facebook, you should join that, so you know. People actually mentioned that Heavy D was top 50 rap artists all time. And we sat there and we said, no. No, 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 not even on a leap year. No. Not that he doesn't have his place, but musically, that's not where it's at. But our friend Will here actually mentioned something that was very, very poignant about what his influence meant to the game. And it made us think about it to the point where we're going to let him kind of delve into it. Well, what happens, Will, if Heavy D is gone from the timeline?
I mean, hip hop doesn't look the same at all, you know? And I say that like for multiple different reasons. I mean, Heavy D first broke out 89, 91. That's when his stuff was really coming out. And really more than anything else, number one, he kind of made it as the fat fly guy, you know? He was the overweight lover. You know, he would make fun of his weight and everything else, but he was kind of like, yeah, but I'm fresh and I'm fly and I'm everything that kind of comes along with that. You know, I'm sexy as hell and I look like that. So that kind of paved the groundwork for acts later like Biggie to say fat and ugly as ever. However, I stay coochie down to the socks, you know, and for Rick Ross to have the confidence to feel like I can get on a live stage and take my shirt off, you know, and
yes.
Okay. So that's just the kind of, you know, that's still not all of it. You know, he is the only rapper to be featured with Janet and Michael. Okay. Like he's the only rapper that they both decided that, yeah, I want to go to. And even speaking on that, how much that even changes just his influence as just a musician having a musical ear. I was able to look up this story about Michael asked Heavy D, yo, I want you to rap on the record that he jumped on. And he was just asking like, yo, who should I be? I'm working on this Dangerous album. What people should I be working with? And Heavy D had just finished Now That We Found Love with our boy Teddy Riley, and He's like, yo, you should work with Teddy Riley. And that's how we get Remember the Time. So no Heavy D, no Remember the Time. So this is surface stuff. Still, all right, that we're just kind of getting into. I'm not even getting into like the executive stuff that he just influenced. You know, he made that transition from artist to A&R. He signed Jodeci. There is no Jodeci without Heavy D. Okay? There probably isn't a Mary J. Blige or rest of Uptown Records and everything else. He got Al B. Shore signed.
Definitely know what's the 411. We don't get that at all.
Okay.
We don't get put off.
Yeah, right. Because he was such the linchpin for Uptown Records and Andre Harrell and made them like, yo, we're the party label. You know, where's the party at? Uptown, you know.
Yes.
Okay. And so him being the kind of the cornerstone from that allowed them to build on all those other acts. You know, he said he got Al B. Shore signed. And of course, the biggest one is he sat there and got Diddy the internship with Uptown.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Not only that, he stayed a mentor and friend to Diddy for many, many years. Like Diddy would never have anything bad to say about, you know, Heavy D. Like, I don't want to say like it would not have looked the same because, you know, Diddy was so driven that he may have been able to find another way to get in, but for history's sake, Heavy D was his plug. Heavy D plugged him into existence in a sense. And so then you don't get Bad Boy, okay? And if you don't get Bad Boy, you don't get Biggie, you don't get Mace. If you don't get Mace, you probably don't get Drake, you know, because there's that timeline that kind of trickles down. So, right, you know, there's a lot of influence in it. And actually, I was another thing that I saw that was very interesting was doing the research. I found out that he had an influence on the Rough Riders as well. You know, he had an influence because, you know, Heavy D's big Westchester guy, okay? And he had an influence on Wadeen, gave him the advice, you know, to kind of go ahead with what his vision was. And bing, bang, boom, he grabs DMX, Rough Riders comes into existence. And it's kind of because of Heavy D pushing that to happen as well,
Right.
you know? So the whole grand kind of scheme of, you know, what hip hop would look like today in general would be entirely different if you said, oh, Heavy D didn't matter, you know? And that's not the case. And even beyond that, he had so many things behind the scenes, things that he was doing in television, you know, just saying, hey, look, one of those people, just that business mindset when it just comes to the music industry. Like he did the In Living Color theme song, you know, like there's a whole bunch of different things that he just kind of touched on us that we're just kind of like, you kind of take for granted or just kind of to brush, you know, aside. So I can get why people say, well, he's not top 50, you know, rapper or things like that. And that's debatable, I suppose. Like, who knows? But he touched so much music that
I don't.
Yeah, go ahead.
I don't know if that really is all that debatable, and I think that's why this conversation is important because everything you said is fact.
Right.
Like his usefulness to the industry is way higher than top 50.
Cultural impact.
Like, you know,
Right.
his cultural impact and influence is way higher than top 50 artists. But when you say top 50 rappers, we're usually judging if it's not just skill, a combination of things that fall after skill or with skill. You know, and in that aspect, he's not in that conversation.
Right.
You know, it's like but people believe because the first thing is true that the second thing is automatically true. And that's just not how things work. Like, you remove Heavy D from the timeline, I mean, we're missing most of black music for how
Right.
long?
We're missing
Right.
most of the 90s. in music itself.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah. So,
90s
nah.
decade doesn't look like, let me say, like outside of Jay-Z and that's really like all I could really think of, because he even influenced you know, Pete Rock and them. So like there would have never been a Pete Rock without Heavy D as well. So a lot of the 90s music that everybody loves, yeah, it been like Tribe and Rockefeller, and that's really been, you know, the 90s for the most part. Okay, like, and like I said, like, yeah, the people don't really look at him as a, you know, a lyricist or things like that, but the man, by far, he knew entertainment. He knew the entertainment industry.
Absolutely.
You know,
Absolutely.
and
No doubt.
yeah, he was up there in the suits. Everybody else is trying to be hard and thuggish, and he's like, no, we're going to look like we're going to a party, and that you want to be
He was a
wherever we are at, you know?
He was a cool dude.
he was a blueprint. He
Right.
was a blueprint.
And he dropped the daggone reggae album. Like, come on now.
Yeah, that was
Yeah.
People forget that he's Jamaican.
that was
I always forget that he's Jamaican.
Jamaican. I love these conversations because hip hop doesn't get a chance to have these. Hip hop is extreme. If you've ever been on Facebook board, you've seen it's either one thing or the other. Heavy D is a legend, and his influence is unmistakable. It's not speculation; it's pure facts. At the same time, Heavy D is mid-tier skill-wise, and that was just fine. He had his success. It was cool. It was a moment in time. These two things can be true at the exact same time.
Right.
And to be objective, it doesn't have to be disrespect. People view objectivity in our genre as disrespect immediately, and that has to stop.
Yeah. Like, nuance is not an enemy.
Two things can be true.
Yeah, like I said, I don't, I guess, necessarily disagree to that. So it's just,
You're also a native New Yorker, so.
Oh, I mean, yeah, he was.
Objectivity was out the window the day you were born.
That is not entirely. That is not entirely true.
Facts.
Not
Came out
entirely.
the womb, they handed you a Yankee hat, and you said,
Yes.
"Want that ass," and that was it.
That's what happened.
Wow.
Like, they handed him his Timbs on his first birthday.
And he was in
That
at
was
that
it.
point.
That was it.
Beefing broccolis on his first day of school.
Look at
It was-
that.
You get your first Carhartt at 5.
You get your JanSport knapsack in the first
You
grade.
You catch your first body at 9. Like, you know,
Whoa. Says the Philly nigga.
He's from the Bronx.
Wow.
we're
Really?
known for cheesesteaks and Rocky. What do you mean?
Y'all know for a few other things too.
The Bronx is known for,
Whoa.
being Fallujah.
For being where hip hop started, that's what the Bronx is known for. Let's keep it positive.
Yeah, but it moved a
keep
long
it-
time ago. So.
Let's keep not doing this. All right. So
All right. Yeah, that is definitely.
It used Mayflower trucks to move too.
This is definitely a discussion that I will want to have at some point. Not having it today. I'm trying to be in a positive mood.
right. It's a
I
positive
am
day.
not kitted out for this discussion right now. I'm
Right.
drinking a nice scotch. I'm not drinking Hennessy, and I don't have any Timbs or my Yankee fitted, so I can't have this defense.
It's a flex. That was a small little.
So do you like walk into them like Batman does the bat suit? Like is there like a Yankee jersey and a pair of Timbs just hanging up? No, like Iron Man. No, I'm thinking Iron Man. Like you just walk in the room.
Absolutely. You see, what it is it's still warm out. Okay, when the temperature hit like go below 60, that's where the North Faces come out. That's when
Go Gadget, Deadass.
Yo, I am crying.
Yeah, you get a point.
Oh shit!
All right, I'm done with you Negroes.
about to go to the deli, go see get a bacon, egg, and cheese right now. Like,
Don't get him started. Don't.
A chopped cheese.
Right, please.
it's that cheap.
Please don't get him
I
started.
got $2. Okay, let me stop.
Thank you. All right, so thank you for that education, Master Jedi on Heavy D. Without Heavy D, there'd be no Diddy. Diddy, a wonderful producer. Production, oh so important. But apparently Nas can't get his together. And that's what we're about to talk about. All right, so Nas production. Some are for, some are against. A lot of people question his ability to pick beats, sometimes find the beat, but Ari seems to have a lot to say. I'm kind of in the middle on this one. I'm not gonna lie, I don't hate it, but I do understand that there are some misses. So Ari is gonna discuss those misses for us. So I'm gonna go ahead and kick it over to you, sir. Tell us how you really feel. Tell us why you mad, son.
This is like 2 decades worth in the making of me letting this disappointment out.
Good God.
So, as somebody, I'll take my L's now as somebody I would not classify myself as a Nas fan.
Thank you.
I'm not going to sit here and tell you those lies. But I'm a hip hop fan, therefore I know way too much about Nas. I can spit you whole albums from someone I don't call myself a fan of. It happens like that if you care about hip hop. With that being said, Nas is the greatest underachiever I have ever seen when it comes to song composition and picking his production. Amazing talent. Right, some of the greatest
Could you repeat that?
you've ever heard. Oh, I'm sorry. Just him. He is the greatest underachiever I've ever heard. Picks. He's an amazing writer. No one's about to tell you that, man, Nas wrote a whack verse. Never. But the way he put that song together and the beat he picked, he becomes hard to defend even for hardcore Nas fans. I'm not even going to take it way back. We don't have to go to when we were kids. We can choose his latest album, King's Disease. Never have I seen a more fitting title than King's Disease. Not only is the project lukewarm on many fronts, especially artistically, it seems as if he was pretty much doing a Crystal Pepsi version of Life is Good to begin with. He chose somebody that we think is a good producer across, genuine populace. The general populace thinks Hit Boy is a pretty good producer. It's the same nigga that made Niggas in Paris. We've been doing Niggas in Paris for like 10 years now, right? It's still fire. But Nas just can't get right. I say it to Ellis all the time and Will because they're both actual producers. Producers have a big folder full of all of their hottest beats. And then they have another folder to the side that they give to the SoundCloud rappers. Nas doesn't pick from the big folder. Nas picks from the other folder. Constantly. Nas is so bad at picking beats that he'll make a really prominent, talented producer look bad. He made Hit Boy look bad. Like, I've never seen anything like it. Hit Boy is a versatile.
All right, okay.
I was going to say, somebody.
Enough.
This is
Enough.
going on
long enough.
But
I
you
can't.
tripping on that. Now I agree. Some of those beats were mellow and chill, but I mean maybe that was the more mature Nas. But you can't say 2 decades worth of beats are garbage from Nas. You have Ether. You have
do not bring up Ether. Even Ellis is looking at you.
Joints out there that he did that there are good beats and good production. Even the flop you want to call Phone Tap from Dr. Dre was a great beat. Affirmative Action. The list can go on and on. I'm not saying he is the greatest beat picker all time. I do agree he does have times where it's like, but he does have a good selection of hot beats in his catalog.
You remember when Made You Look came out when we first heard that?
Right, like you
Like,
know that
nobody said that wasn't a good beat. Like that's why we liked the song.
right.
Like so it's like, yeah, I'm the whole thing about Nas doesn't pick good beats is just like the whole J. Cole's music is boring. It's a
It's a
thing.
myth. It's the
Like,
myth.
That is not a
it's a thing people say because I can show you plenty of good beats from Nas. Now, Nas comes from a time where what we consider the good beats now don't necessarily sound the same. So we judging him off that. But for the time he came from, his beats were comparable. Nobody came away from Illmatic saying that Nas was great, but man, those beats were whack. Like the whole thing, you know, it was everything. Like I said, I go to Life is Good. You cannot listen to Life is Good straight through and tell me it wasn't produced well.
Right.
That's a lie. You start off with Justice League sampling Kirk Franklin, like, for God's sakes. You know, it's just like Cherry Wine, Bye, Stay. Like, tell me these are bad beats. No, nobody's actually saying that. So it's like he's been missing lately. I do think like working with Hit Boy wasn't the right move. I don't even think like for what Hit Boy produces, Nas doesn't do well, in my opinion. So I don't think he should have worked with Kanye last time because they're not in the same place. They're not in anywhere close to the same place. So I don't think.
Though even the Kanye project, wasn't like completely unlistenable. You know, like
agreed.
It was mostly.
Will start now.
It was like, yeah, cool.
Yeah. Who wants to go next before I go? Mordecai, you want to jump in here? No? All right, cool. Yeah, I can kind of say that, you know, there's never been, I guess, a full project where I've gone start to finish and listen to Nas production and been like, all right, yes, every single joint that I heard, I got to listen to what they did and those different things. You know, Nas is always just that, you know, he comes from that era of being the lyricist. And so to him, it's like, I want you to hear what I'm saying. Okay. I don't want everybody here, like, you know, getting hyped too much. Like, I think, you know, he'll give you that once in the blue. He'll have situations like that. And as far as song structure, I mean, like, what he did with, like, Go to Stillmatic, what he did with Rewind, what he did with One Mic, you know, the song structures and those are just like, nobody at that time frame was really doing that to that, you know, to that degree. And as far as you just want to say just overall slap, you want to say, tell me, Ari, there's not one beat that you can think of that's just like, that just grabs you. Ari?
Of course. We're talking about the grand scheme here. I could totally point out the good Nas beats. Like, you could do that.
Oh, no, man.
I could point out Made You Look. I could point out Halftime. I could point out the tracks from Hip Hop Is Dead. Life Is Good is really, really, really good. Like, my favorite track is You're the Man, actually, if I had to make a particular choice.
Right.
That's a really
good one.
Who
was good on that same album. So was One Mic on the same album. These are good tracks. But we're talking about how many misses to the hits.
You know what else was
and there's way more misses than hits, right?
The Nigger album was produced well.
Right.
Isn't that the one where he was rapping from the perspective of a roach? That one?
You judge it. You know what?
I'm not being sarcastic. Like I'm trying to reference it.
Ari is like the hip hop skip Bayless.
Nas album.
Run.
That wasn't.
Nas album done was an amazing beat.
Yeah, that was a good one.
With the Fuji sample.
That was a good one. Yeah.
Okay. But my
produced by Jake One
is that you guys operate in a vacuum for some reason. Like the way that we're able to objectively crucify Jay-Z for the goofy stuff he does all the time or his misses, people don't do that for Nas. They don't just go ahead and say, you know what, that wasn't hot.
Because like Will was saying, like Will was saying earlier, like I've had a lot of songwriters tell me like they can't find space in a beat and they're not comfortable writing to it. Like there's a lot of songwriters out there who need space. You're not gonna get what you want out of them putting them in too much commotion. Nas is one of those dudes who not like Will said, not only is he a lyricist, but he's one of those dudes who believes his voice is an instrument. So you're thinking more going on, and he's thinking I'm another part. So it's like that's how he picks beats. It's not that he doesn't know what a good beat is to us. It's what he writes to. It's his process.
So we can make the same excuse for Eminem and his abysmal beat selection as well, because they're 1 and 2 on the Legends list.
But we don't dislike him because of his beat selection. We just don't like listening to him.
Oh, I can't stand that nigga's beat selection. That shit is trash.
But it's like, okay, yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's not that we do like his beat selection, but I'm saying even if we did, we still don't like the content, so it don't even matter.
You still jump on somebody's good beat, and we still won't care.
Like, I enjoy Nas's content. I just wish that it came with the totality of the music, that, because this is Ellis's point, actually. I've seen Ellis use it against people.
Yeah, I know it don't apply here. I know what you was going for.
All of it needs to sound good. Like, if it doesn't sound good, then it loses purpose. And when I don't disagree with that. I just think that you're saying some of it doesn't sound good when it actually does.
Right.
The majority of it is pretty mediocre. The highlights are high. The highs are high. They're real high. Made You Look makes up for a lot of really bad stuff. Stillmatic makes up. His highs are so high that people forget about like stuff like Street's Disciple.
So I would consider that, I would put that like a home run hitter. By what you're saying, like he's effective because when he does hit, it's gone.
Right.
It's hard.
So we can't judge that dude by striking out 2-3 times a game, because when he gets contact, the ball is gone. That's why we judge Nas like we
compared to his contemporaries at that point. We all know Jay's better, like objectively speaking. Speaking, like not just old hip hop fans. We all know that Jay was long-term, longevity, consistency, the ability to keep hitting. If Jay didn't hit it at the park, he was getting on first base. We'll put it right.
I would compare Nas to Melo in a lot of ways.
God damn.
Think about it, right? So you take Illmatic, and that's Melo Syracuse year. And then he comes into the league, and it's like we expected LeBron from Melo, but we got Melo. Like, even now, watching them play recently, looking at the two of them play together, it's like you could see why they were compared. You could see why, but LeBron at 35 is just still so much better. That's Jay. You see what I'm saying? Like, so I give him, because Melo could light anybody up on any given day. Yeah. He's going to go down in history as that dude. Nas is going to go down in history as the dude nobody really wanted to be rapping about. So it's like, but he never quite
put it together
all the way on the stage.
Couldn't really, and I still think that we haven't seen the best version of Nas we could have ever seen. I still don't think that has happened. Like, artistically, I don't think that has happened.
It's still a possibility to happen.
But you see, another thing to kind of keep in mind and things like that. Like, I'm just using Hit Boy as I don't want to put him on the chopping block in a sense, but Nas is a legit legend, okay, and that makes it kind of difficult for A&Rs and other producers to kind of walk in the room and be like, hey, you should do this. Like, hey, you should pick this, you should listen to this, you should go in this direction. Good artists will take feedback from the producers and the people around them that they're working with to be like, hey, let's try something different. But, I guess if you want to use the Carmelo, it's like, hey, Carmelo, yeah, it's great. You got 35 points. Can you play defense for us on the next game? Like, you let the guy go right past you at the end there.
And that's no disrespect to Melo. Like, I think Melo gets treated unfairly as well because of the comparison. But like I said, at their height, you knew them niggas could light you up for 50. Nas and Melo. And that's why we give them niggas the respect that they get.
Like I said, yeah, and so I also, because of that, like, it's difficult for somebody to step in and be like, hey, right, can you do this now? Unless there's somebody that they see as an equal peer on, that level, okay? Like,
I hate that our culture.
Black Republican, that beat knocks. Okay.
This is our culture.
Right. And that's because Jay's like, yo, dude, this is the beat we're gonna go with here,
Damien, did you have something?
Yeah, one other thing. It's basically, Alice's point is like, it's super duper valid. But again, it's like you're saying that that Nas is the guy. He does have, the stats to say all that. But it's, it's just almost like comparing apples and oranges, comparing two great people, and one has to be the lesser of the two, unfortunately. And in that category is Nas. Nas and Jay-Z will always be compared. So
that sucks. That's our culture, isn't it? Nothing can stand on its own because it's always being benchmarked by the ancestors and your peers. Always. That's hip hop. It isn't just this singular art form where everybody's like, oh, that was great.
By the ancestors and your peers. So with that whole Nas and Jay-Z, that forever comparison, right? Like I can think off the top of my head, so I could not remember every Nas song, but I could think off the top of my head of like down south Jay-Z, like almost like stripper worthy Southern Jay-Z. But I don't think Nas has one of those.
Uchi Wally.
Is Uchi Wally Southern, or is that just like
it was strip club everywhere.
Okay, it was strip club worthy.
You had to play that shit.
It was a strip club anthem.
You had to play that shit.
It don't give me.
I think the worst part is that Nas is the worst rapper on that song. That
is sad. That is sad. So okay, so that's his one and only stripper song. We're saying is Uchi.
R.I.P. Horse,
Uchi,
by the way.
Uchi Wally. All right, so
that's the only stripper song.
For Nas, and like I'm thinking like
wait, Shorty. No, fuck with that.
But that's a little more Southern, and that's not it though. But it's a little more Southern, like stripper.
I'm trying to imagine strippers dancing to.
Or wait, what?
No, I can. I know I can.
Yo.
Okay.
No. That's not what the kids. That's not what the kids are. No. All right. So the importance of a strip club anthem, the importance of any rapper, especially a New York rapper or an upstate rapper, whatever, having a strip club anthem, and the importance of strip club music in the culture. All right, this one's for the scriptless. The importance of stripper music and the culture, like how big can it be for artists to have like that one stripper song? Like, I don't know, Mordecai. You love strippers.
I think I do. I love strippers.
We love
I have a lot of stripper friends.
Right. Shout out to the strippers.
Shout out to the strippers and their importance on how strippers and stripper music broke South music and helped it catapult into hip hop into the 90s, into the early 2000s, when you had artists from Memphis and Mississippi and Louisiana, the Ninth Ward, and then Houston, how it gave artists platforms to promote their music in strip clubs to get them recognition. When strippers loved that song and they could dance to it, it grew and it grew big, just like the Migos. The Migos might not be here now if it wasn't for like Magic City and strip clubs down in Atlanta. Mm-hmm. Strip clubs help hip hop grow more than people realize. It helped the major artists that we all love right now. Some of us don't, like Drake when he dropped Houston, Atlanta, Vegas, Ode to the Strip Clubs, which was a major song that basically was a tribute to strip clubs and that Houston sound, like DJ Screw and Pimp C and Bun B and 3-6 Mafia and all those artists that got their breaks, if not their breaks, their meat and potatoes from having songs played in the strip clubs.
Right.
And it gets underrated to a point where you don't realize it controlled the South. It was the hub of the South. Stripper music made money, and it generated content and feeling and emotion that some of us like and some of us don't like, but it has an importance. And if you didn't have Houston music or Louisiana music, it wouldn't be a lot of artists that we have today, like Lil Wayne and Chief Keef, because he's a product of the Lil Wayne era, or Young Thug, who's a child of Lil Wayne's, who comes from that bounce sound and that Atlanta, that Louisiana sound, or artists from Memphis that popped off from getting their songs played in strip clubs. Strip clubs are a vital part of hip hop, and it gets underrated because it's like the distaste is what people frown their nose up at. It's like, strip club music. I really don't like that. But you got Jeezy, who got his bones from strip club music. You got artists like Sweetie, who gets her new music played heavily in strip clubs. A lot of these new girls that are up and coming are getting heavy spins in the strip clubs. And right now during COVID, you can't really feel that type of music right now because it has a place, and that place is cut off.
Right.
Mordecai, I totally agree with you on that. And even when it's you bringing up Lil Wayne, it kind of goes farther back to him with like his older brother, be Juvenile.
Yes.
And
yes,
now with Deadass back up, and then even farther in that same era, you had Mystical, and even farther than that, let's
Strip
bring up
club legend.
Uncle Luke was the 90s. And like you said, like that Southern music, that Southern bounce definitely put the strip club on the map, and the strip club put that music on the map. And even that Southern music came up north.
That Miami bass sound.
Right.
Yeah.
And that bounce.
Shout out Big Frida. That's a very important sound in hip hop that gets used. Even Drake uses it a lot. A lot of people borrow from that sound when they or we could take it to DC with Wale when using go-go sounds.
Yeah.
A lot of that strip club music is very relevant in mainstream hip hop, but it doesn't get its recognition because it's kind of looked as distasteful or beneath a lot of people. But it's always been around. It's always been borrowed from. It's not getting its recognition for the heavy uses of 808s, which come from that strip club sound. Like everybody started using that 808 sound to a different level, or like artists like Lex Luger, who morphed drum patterns because of strip club music, which a lot of people don't notice that his drums come from that sound, even though you hear his drum sounds in Kanye West or his drum sounds in a Jay-Z song. A lot of the Watch the Throne, you can slightly hear a lot of strip club influence from it. And it gets frowned upon, and it shouldn't be. My problem is it should be acknowledged. It should be acknowledged and held as a high standard.
Absolutely.
As much
so I'm gonna step in real quick because everybody is watching P-Valley currently. And one of the biggest things about strip club music is the scene where Lil Murda is trying to get the people in the strip club to play his music.
Yep.
Because in reality,
Yep.
back in the day, with Luke, even if you look at, Players Club, right? If your shit not getting played in the strip club, if bitches ain't bouncing to it, they will not play it in the car. They're not gonna bring it to the cookout. They're not gonna bring it to nothing. That music will fall flat. So if it ain't nothing that you can dance to, or if it's not like woke music or whatever, then it ain't shit. And that's why strip club music is so important, because it's the music we dance to. First, it may come on in a strip club. Next thing you know, that you bouncing around in an actual club. You bouncing around in it at a cookout with your parents. You bouncing around in your house cleaning. So it literally is like the ground level for music.
I'm gonna jump in myself on this. I just from a historical point of view on it as well. Like, there's a reason why they do that. Okay, and they've been doing that for decades now. In the 70s, with the disco era, the thing was with the disco A&Rs, they would go to the ballrooms, okay, and the LGBTQ community would have to, they would play, so if the queens don't dance to it, it's not going to work in the regular clubs, okay? And so the same thing has kind of translated in the strip clubs. A&Rs will go there and be like, well, where else can you get a bunch of girls who dance, who are actually trained to dance, and put on a song, and if they don't dance to it, then we know, well, back to the drawing board, because if they don't dance to it here, they're not going to dance to it at the clubs, at the big clubs, and you don't want that to be a flop. So they would become like a psychological test market where they're actually bringing songs there to see, do the strippers dance to it? Do they like it here? Cool. You know what? All right, cool. We're going to play that Pacha on Friday then, if that's the case. And it all stems from that, from them saying, here's our private groups of people that we're trying to get to. And that's why all those songs, that's the reason why so much of the songs came out of the strip clubs.
Brittany, you had something?
Yeah, so I wanted to say also, like, a good segue from what Kyra said and to what Buddy said, that I feel like right now our generation, or this generation, has more ownership of their own, I don't want to say body, but more of the ownership of their sexuality and being able to express it more, that now we're really, the music from the strip club music is now resonating, that we like it on the radio. And it plays on the radio all day, throughout the day. Because, like, growing up, you only heard that music late at night.
Right.
You only heard it late at night. And now it could be 3 o'clock. Or no, it's not even 3 o'clock. It could be a happy hour. And it's on the radio. And it's actually. But, more ownership of your sexuality, that this is okay. And being a stripper is not a bad thing. It's empowering. Or at least not even being a stripper. It's just, being comfortable in your own body and yourself and your sexuality. Because if you think about it, you growing up, you just saw that strippers were promiscuous women. And these are the songs that were dumped around their life. And then you realize as you grow up, they're not promiscuous at all. Not all, but it's still no one's business about what they do outside of their bedroom. But again, it's more of the social norm right now.
I think it's a lot. I mean, I think those are all actually good theories or whatever. I kind of think it's much more simple than that. People like sex. Sex is always sold in everything. Like, I mean, you got to think about it. That's always been the case. Even when it wasn't quote unquote stripper music, I mean, think about the songs that were being sold for dancing in the 80s. Like, like Will brought up disco. Like, it's always been to induce that, for real. You know, and it's just like alcohol, sex, partying, music, all go together.
Right.
All go together. You know, so it's like, why not write a song about the thing that everybody's looking forward to doing this weekend? Or this afternoon, or, you know, whatever the case is. It's just like, that's so relevant because, like, there's more, we're a much more social generation, in my opinion. We like going outside a lot more to congregate in certain spaces than people really did back in the day. You know, so think about the spaces we in, what you want to do. You want to hear some shit, you want to dance. I don't want to sit here and be sad. You know, nobody's sitting there listening really to Anita Baker when they're trying to turn up.
Everybody wants to hear the song that makes the girls feel like they strippers. Everybody, even if you're not a stripper,
That's it.
you want the song that
You
brings
want to live kind of, you know.
the strippers, or, you know, buck for your life, you know, whatever is going to get your booty popping. There's a lot to be said, you know, being in the strip club on your birthday with the short-haired stripper that looked like Nia Long. It's a spiritual moment in the strip club. Like, I don't know, like, it's just something about strip clubs in the South, and I don't know if you haven't experienced it. I can't tell you. You know, I think we've had this conversation.
Strip clubs in the South are biblical. Like,
they are, and they're
something different.
They're far superior.
It's a whole other experience. Like, you won't go to other strip clubs at that point. Like,
and it's got to be the deep South. It's got to be Georgia going this way. It's got to be everything from Georgia to Texas. Everything in that line right there. That's it. It's what.
Bro, it's like the strippers are like, they're there and they are what everybody came for, but there's so many other things happening.
It's a lot. It's.
I went to a strip club in Dallas, and I'm a strip club goer. I went to Ecstasy. My favorite stripper in the whole wide world is Pole Assassin. She retired now, but let me tell you, she got a monkey. And Gigi be up there with her on the pole. Okay. And the crazy part is, I follow her Instagram, not realizing that she was in Dallas, and I went to a strip club, and I'm like, oh, I know her. Oh shit, there go Gigi the monkey. Her personal monkey be on the pole with her. Hands down, best strip experience ever.
Everybody has that. Everybody has that moment. Everybody has that one stripper, the thing we saw when the girl rode the other girl down the pole, and it's just like, you understand the need to just give these women all your money. Like, it's just.
I feel like no hands should be played on the organ right now, just so y'all get y'all moment off, like, for real, like,
you know, like, I'm about to hit the club and dance like a stripper.
Some of these strip club songs are Negro spirituals though. Like, let's just keep it 100. Like, yes.
Okay. Well,
yes.
And you know, and a
bro,
lot of,
like, songs that like, tell me Swag Surf don't bring all black people together.
But that is a Southern anthem, but that's not a stripper anthem.
The hell if it ain't.
You cannot. I'm not saying you can't. I'm not saying you cannot. But when I walk in the strip club and I think about the top
there's just
five,
asses rolling.
I want to see.
No Hands is one of them.
No hands. I'll give you no hands. I'll give you no hands. You know, it's
flag surfing.
It's some Rick Ross joints that I want to see before that. It's some 2 Chainz joints that I want to see before Swag Surf. That, you know,
2 Chainz is
some 90s
like the stripper song, dude.
It's some old 90s stuff, you know.
This is fat. As the only non-strip club person here, I just wanted to say that this is fucking fascinating.
Strip club, yo, I'm telling you,
never had like that spiritual moment of one.
No, I've had a spiritual moment in the strip club in itself.
And it's like a regular club too. It's not even like a taboo of a strip club. Like, you'll see all girls just hanging out at the strip club. Like, it's girls who, if you really trying to get you a nigga, let's go to the strip club, and they're tipping almost more than the niggas. You go there to eat.
Hanging out.
There's places in Houston where you can get the best steak at the strip club.
This
when
is wild
you go to
education.
the strip club, when you go to the strip club in the South, you're the one that's out of place because you're looking at everybody like, what the hell is going on? Everybody's chilling.
They chilling.
Like,
they chilling. Like,
For the other non-going viewers, I'm gonna ask you guys, in the chat in the group, to give us a song or give us a location of your best strip club or your best strip club experience, so that maybe you too can convert somebody into this kind of culture. Because you see the way these niggas is talking about it. This is some shit to them.
And I ain't gonna lie, like one of the best strip club that I've gone to, where I've seen the best performance, it was two girls.
Whoa.
A week later, hold on, before you go where I know you're going, all I'm gonna say is, on some true life shit, it burnt down the next week. It burnt down the next week. Everybody know where it's at. It used to be in Houston, Texas, off of Richmond, right there by the Popeyes. And we went on that Tuesday. $2 Tuesdays is a real thing. And we went back the next week, and that motherfucker had mysteriously burnt to the ground.
Club, really? That's crazy.
Sounds like real life players club to me.
We can't even. But that's when the girl was upside down and rolled the other girl down the pole, and they had the Jabberwocky mask on. It was.
I went to Follies on a Sunday one time, and there was this girl I'll never forget. She had on this like cream bikini, but she had on these clear heels. I swear to God, she rolled on her back and clicked her heels, and everybody in the club was like,
She's commanded the stage.
And then we all looked at each other and was like, "You felt it too?" And I made friends that night. Like, it was just, yeah. Yep. Strip clubs in the South. Love them.
Yeah. Amen.
It's like church and the strip club.
I mean, I've never been to one in Georgia. I've only been to strip clubs in Texas. And I'm sorry, I'm biased. Texas will forever have my heart when it comes to strip clubs.
Amen.
Okay,
Amen.
So come on down to Atlanta so I can change your mind.
I will say this. I'm not gonna sit there and all say that the Atlanta girls is trash at all, because a lot of times the Atlanta girls and the Houston girls, for real, are the same girls. If you really about it and you really about that coin, it's the same girls that it's the same girls that we talking about here. So you know what I'm saying? It might be the vibes might be a little different. Maybe people's tipping. Maybe the food. If anything, I'll say let's really have a showdown of the food, because I know we can get some good steaks at the strip club in Houston.
But you come to Atlanta for wings. You get the best wings in Atlanta.
I mean, so we got to compare the strip club food and whatnot. However, I like how we talked about, and we went all the way back to like the 90s and the old Miami bass, because I definitely was like a big 90s bass. I'm a couple years older than some of y'all, so I don't know if y'all, but everybody remember the So Deaf All-Star bass and all that, the Uncle Luke and all that other stuff. Don't stop, pop that pussy.
Right, butterfly, the Tootsie Roll.
All, you know what I'm saying? All that. And so it seems like everybody now is taking these good old songs and sampling them. So then that leads us to, do we really like some of these songs, or do we just like the sample? Do we like the song, or do we like the sample? Do we love these songs, or do we love the 90s samples? Like, how you hear the song, and then for me, it's like, oh, I'm feeling this, but now I really want to go and hear the original, because I'm not really paying attention to what y'all even talking about. I'm just thinking about, damn, let me go back and play this other one. So, Damien, start us off with some 90s samples, ones you love, ones you hate, or just say what you got to say. Tell us how you feel.
Well, the one I really hate more than any other, most of them, is that Tory Lanez joint. That freaking one, he said he was on the radio station. He was like, yo, it took me 5 minutes to write that song. I was like, nigga, of course it took you 5 minutes to write that song, because you stole it from the nigga from back in the day. Like, get the fuck out of here. So yeah, that I think it is the old man in the room also thing sometimes you don't want to hear that shit. You be like, yo, leave our good 90s wholesome, beautiful, original shit alone. Like, stop touching our shit. Go to the 80s or some shit. Fucking leave our shit alone. Like, 90s was a perfect time. Like, we don't need to be remixing shit from the 90s. Leave that shit alone. Just skip that decade altogether. Stop touching our shit. I'm getting tired of it. Shit is annoying. Stop that shit.
Niggas is getting rid of
Stop
the
that
80s stuff,
shit.
so they ain't got no chance
Stop
to
it.
for the
My
90s.
mother would say, stop it. That shit be annoying as shit.
That was the
Like,
most
what was it? Like, the Roddy Ricch joint. Like, I ain't understand it. You couldn't even, I don't really want it. It's like, why is this even in the beginning of the song anyway? Ain't nobody even asking.
Why are y'all
You can
so
cut that shit
angry?
off. And cause listen.
Tell him why you mad, son. Tell him why you mad.
The old uncle in the room moment. It's like, come on.
Why are y'all so
stop this shit.
angry?
Don't do that. Don't do that.
We discovered samples and did worse to them.
Don't
Y'all
do
don't remember that chip?
But okay, but some of them be real lazy samples, and it's like you just basically, I might as well go and
Bro,
listen.
Kanye got the whole career out of just speeding it up.
Don't do
No.
Okay.
No. Don't you blaspheme up in here.
Wait. But wait. He's right.
No, not while Hitmaker is out here.
Oh, don't say shit like he's right. Don't say shit like this motherfucker is right. And I don't care if all he did was speed it up. He did it in such a way that it didn't piss me off.
Y'all are
I
upset.
want to hear the other one first. I know that we didn't sit up in here tonight and blaspheme. We're not doing that.
We did the same
How they sample
stupid
the
shit.
case joint like two,
No,
three
Ellis.
times? Like,
While
how somebody
Hitmaker
sample the
exists,
case joint?
we will not slander Kanye.
We should not. We should not.
While Young Berg is out here ruining the 2000s.
Young, I got my chain motherfucking snatched. Berg.
We will not do this.
Hey.
Young Berg is out here fucking with our childhood every moment he gets.
But why are y'all so angry? Like,
Because it's
like,
bad. It's not
he found some samples and he used them. That's what happens. It always happens.
It does. No. We're not mad that it happens, but everybody's not doing it on the same level. Everybody's not doing it on the same level.
I mean, don't you think our old heads felt the same way when they heard Big rapping over those beats he was rapping over?
Facts.
But they were
Like they
good.
felt the same exact way.
You know, I think it's a little bit different. I think they were upset because the song was used, not that it was used
The whole
poorly.
concept, right? Because it was new.
Right. Because I feel like one of the main songs for me, like I like Sweetie, but Tap In, like I was mad as fuck. Like y'all know, I messaged y'all like, bitch, I just listened to this fucking Tap In song and I want to sock the shot at this bitch. Cause like she literally, she was so lazy. It was as if she took Too Short's entire song and then just changed out the words. What's my favorite word? Icy. Bitch, shut up. That is, and her being from fucking the Bay Area should know better than to do some.
But can I ask y'all a question? Why didn't we have it like think about it? You just described Mary J. Blige when we first got it. Like we loved her for singing other people's songs.
How dare you?
Age gap thing.
Please don't do this to Mary.
You just jumping out the window?
Mary J. Blige was the Jacquees of the 90s.
Come on now.
You want to talk about Whitney?
See, Gordy, we in the same city. I'm gonna have to fight you, but Ellis, I'm definitely gonna take that fucking flight. Don't disrespect Queen Mary. Fuck wrong with you?
Right. No, I'm just saying Whitney did the same thing. Whitney took the joint from Dolly Parton. Remember that. You can't
that shit out.
If you're gonna go down that hole, you gotta remember that right, it goes both ways.
I mean, except for it's Whitney, so she can do what the fuck she wants to. So now we can move on from that conversation.
Not just that, but we're not gonna sit here and pretend like she didn't. I mean, that's Whitney's song now. Like I even like Dolly Parton.
I agree. I agree, but I'm just saying it's two sides of the coin with that assertion, right? You can't be like everybody can't do that, but I mean Whitney did it. Whitney did it
Because Whitney.
You know what? Whitney also remade the entire. Like she just sang the same lyrics with her own spin on it. Like these bitches are literally trying to take the song, rewrite it as their own,
Y'all
but
don't
not
really
do it
fucking that.
well.
They're not good at it.
But can I say something about the Whitney situation? Whitney did a skillet that was Clive Davis, and he handed it over to her to make it better. So we're not going to say Whitney did anything. Whitney was just being told what to do to make a song a hit.
All right, Brittany, you can stop that now.
All right.
I'm
What
just
we're
saying.
saying is, William, we're
yeah.
gonna kick it over to William. Come, young Master Jedi, teach us the things.
What things? Like,
I don't know, but just don't blaspheme Kanye. Like, but say what you gotta say.
if you're talking about sampling,
Tell them the truth.
It's all fair play. Okay? That's it. You can like it or not. Somebody is out there that does like it. That's why it's out. Okay? And it's just kind of like we're now on probably the different side of the fence to be like, yeah, but that original, and same thing that we were saying, like, yeah, older heads were probably upset to be like, well, why is Biggie taking that Isley Brothers song? That song was talking about, I love this girl. And he's talking about, like, I'm a player. Like, that's, to them, that could have been offensive, It didn't matter that it's a good song or not, that he was talented to it. It's all into the ear of the person receiving it. Okay? And that's just it. At the second part to it is that the consumer kind of demands what does and what doesn't go. All right? If no one's listening to the song, they will stop putting them out. Right. Yeah. They'll go, all right, we'll try something else. But they figure, hey, look, this is working. So
I got a 10-year-old son, and when Juice WRLD, what song did Juice WRLD sample of Stings?
The Nas one?
Yeah.
Yeah. That was from Sting.
I hear it, and I'm like, my son's listening to it. He's like, Daddy, listen to this new song. And I'm like, that ain't new. But then I listen to the song, and I'm like, all right, it's a decent enough song. I get why he likes it. Like, right. It's like, it's we're looking at it as bad, but you can't really look at it that way because people are listening to it. Absolutely. Specifically kids. Like, we need to sometime understand that the music is not being sold to us. We think too much. We're too skeptical.
Real quick,
want to hear those names.
Me and my homeboy, well, when I was rapping, we actually sampled that joint too, probably like 10 years ago. That was the crazy part about it. When I heard it, I was like, damn, my homeboy is ahead of his time. It was crazy, literally 10 years ago, and we did the show, we did the song in the show and everything. People liked it, blah, 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 but he sampled it a long time ago. And it was like, sometimes you got to dig in the crates to see stuff. And, I was, at first I was mad. I was like, damn, my homeboy did that joint. And then I was like, well, it was a smart idea. It was a good idea. So
I got one for you, Ellis, because while I agree with you, I'm not, of all of us, I'm probably the least get off my lawn ass nigga here. But we're going to play a little game called Good Sample, Bad Sample.
I don't like where this is going, but okay.
Here's a good sample. Go ahead, we about to reuse this and make it hot. Bruno Mars, Finesse.
Okay.
Good. Great.
Here's a bad sample. Tory Lanez, Say It.
I think that was more about the artist than the production. I think Tory's style wasn't right for that song.
He pretty
Somebody
much
else could have fucked that up.
Brownstone song in existence, and just he just said, you know what? I'm gonna lay this up in the laziest, most non-homage paying way possible, and that's how he got on.
I mean, but okay, what are we calling hard samples? Because I think y'all think about sampling away, and it's all really the same.
Of course, but is there good and there bad? There's good and bad, right?
No, I mean, there could be something that you take from a production. I'm going to talk specifically from a production standpoint, and you take something, you're kind of like, all right, I'm just borrowing all these elements. I'm just taking the whole portion of the song, and I'm just speeding up the tempo, slowing down the tempo, adding a kick here or there, and re-releasing it to the crowd, and there's the kind of, okay, I'm chopping things up and I'm actually doing different things to it to kind of, I guess, get to that to a different realm, a different take to the song. And I think that's what Tory was trying to do.
And it was bad.
Okay. Like, I can't knock the production to it, you know, aspect to it. I can get what you're saying from the songwriter.
Give me another one. You guys are the actual producers. You can give me one for sure. Good.
I mean, like you look. I'll stay on him like what he did with Love. Like that basically was the same thing. Tonto Metro and Devontae. Like, yeah, he just kind of put that back out, and to a whole generation of people who didn't hear that song or just never listened to reggae in the first place. They're like, wow, this is amazing, you know? Because there's always like a science to this stuff. Like, again, one day we'll get into the 4-chord theory, okay? Which is a whole another rabbit hole to go back down. Like, and how many hit songs have been produced with the same 4 chords, you know? You're right. But it's when there's something about the human brain, a conditioning to a sense, is like when you hear something that's familiar or you can't place it, or it's just, you know, these older hits that become newer hits, there's a reason for it. That's why sampling is so prevalent.
Of course, sampling is life. Sampling is hip hop. But you can sample something real shitty.
Well, but the thing is, you say that, and then the ones that sometimes people will think is a shitty sample is the one that pops. Like, you could, like, it's a thin line between it being like, let's say Throw Some D's didn't pop. We filed that in the shitty sample compilation. But it's not, though. It's just a matter of whether it worked or not.
But can we call stuff like Throw Some, like Polo the Don, shout out to him. We can say Polo Throw Some D's, and even in simplicity, is actually fundamentally fire. Versus, we'll say some of these hitmaker joints that are like lazily done and poorly done and quickly thrown together. So the quality disparity is different.
They'll say that.
Because they're both the same.
Okay.
Because Rich Boy isn't like Jay-Z, right? I'm not out here comparing a bunch of old shit. I'm comparing mainstream shit to other flash in the pan mainstream shit. Throw Some D's was hot. Some of this terrible hitmaker fucking Usher.
Let me tell you why you can't say that. Let me tell you why you can't say that. Because that's how it sounds. It sounds like you hear, your mind tells you, because of like what you perceive the sample to be, you know, from bad to good, it tells you that it was really hard to do. When sometimes those hardest samples that you like, that you've heard, were the easiest ones to do.
Right.
That sampling that they're doing of the 90s is not just a layup. It does take a little bit of legwork to actually get it done. Even with the templates in place for it, it's a bit of a process. Like if I told you how to do it right now, you still wouldn't be able to do it.
Right. And some of the guys that you give credit for in the 90s saying like, oh,
But here's a question for you niggas then. You know, you old school, you old rapidy rap ass niggas. Somebody comes out right now and decides to sample Heart of the City. I just want to see the lies on your faces real quick. Ellis tells a better lie, but Will tells a worse one.
What? I'm gonna tell you why you caught me at a bad time. But no, I'm gonna tell you here's why this is gonna backfire.
Yeah, you go. Yeah.
They each just sampled it.
You caught me at a really bad time. You caught me at a really bad time because I used to think like that. Now I don't care. I didn't do it. So there's not a sample that I don't think is touchable anymore. Like, it's all fair game. Some of the things I'm over here sampling right now, I would have never touched before. I had a conversation with an artist the other day. He was like, I never thought I would rap over that beat, and I was like, don't ever say that shit again. Like, nothing's off limits. So I mean,
I just want to piggyback off that. I just feel like when I first was like learning the sampling, the production game, the MPC game, it was almost like a reverence you put on somebody else's sample. You know, like even in dudes in my college, when somebody would have been like, "Oh, yo, nah, man, Anthony sampled that." You know, when Reggie would sample something, it was like, "Ah, man, I would have done it differently, but he got into it first, so I can't touch it." You know, and nowadays you just kind of like, all right, cool. You did that way. That's not what I heard, so I'm gonna do it this way.
Bro, my brother was downloading a sample pack the other day, and like, I'm like, send me that same sample pack. We're not gonna do the same thing.
Right.
Like before, I would have been like, well, he downloaded that one, so I got to download it.
Right. Yeah, I gotta respect him for it. Right. It was like he found it type of thing. Yeah.
I'll hear my brother will play me a song that he sampled, and the first thing I'll say is, send me that sample, because I heard something different.
Right. Yeah, if I was your brother, I might hate you, but that's fine. You know, like, you know,
it's kind of a dick move, but you know.
I'm saying like it's tough to be related to somebody and be like, yeah, no, send me that. Like,
so because I'm calculated and I do these things on purpose, what I've walked you guys into a corner of is that what you're saying is that there can be no objective criticism or even subjective criticism. There can be no criticism whatsoever, because if there's no reverence, which is fine, if there's no bar, there's no moratorium on anything, you could just go out here tomorrow and sample Welcome to New York City. Fuck it, go for it, right? You can't judge it now, right? So nothing can be judged.
it's not that nothing can be judged. You're free to do whatever you want to do. All right? But you just open yourself up to the criticisms to do so. That's what I say. You know, there's not like something sacred, like, oh, this thou shalt not sample.
Right.
You know, like, there's no rule like that. Okay.
Like I said, don't.
Right. Go ahead.
My opinion is the only difference in it being bad and good is that it worked. Like, if it works and it works big enough, you're gonna call it good. That's how we've always done with samples. Like, if you really want to sit down and go pick out what we call the greatest samples, I bet you look at some of those different with the microscope we put on sampling at.
True. Right. Absolutely. You know, everything musical is open to, to critique.
Absolutely. Yeah, for sure.
So it's just like, are you bold enough to put it out there? And if you do put it out there, you better come hard with it. That's all. You know?
I mean, because like
say it again one more time. What was that?
Come hard with it. That's all. What?
I mean, but we're saying, like, I'm gonna be honest with you.
That's exactly what the fuck is happening here. That's all I wanted from you, Will. That's all I wanted.
I don't know what you just asked me.
I don't know. I think he thinks that we don't like some of the samples, and we're like, but
no, of course you like
some of them. Yeah,
of course you like it. They're simple. They're easy, but it doesn't mean it wasn't good. Or
they're not easy.
Yeah, some aren't easy.
Yes. I mean, you played us some. As a matter of fact, I think you're gonna play us some tonight, aren't you?
I don't know, because you guys made fun of me a lot tonight, and my feelings are still hurt. So excuse me.
Damn, y'all need to apologize.
We're sorry, Will. We would like you to dig deep into your archives and pull out some greatness for us to listen to tonight.
We are dead ass about our apology.
You know what?
Super dead ass. Would you like a bacon, egg, and cheese?
I would, actually.
Go get cheese.
It sounds wonderful. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for listening. We really appreciate it. We hope you follow us on Facebook and Instagram and Twitter. We are the Derelict Collective. Y'all ain't got to go home, but you know the rest, and we will see you next week. Bye.
Deadass.
Nigga.
Perfect, though. That was perfect. That's perfect.